Every year, the Senior Bowl gives a real glimpse into what's coming in the draft. The hype, the breakout names, the overhyped busts waiting to happen. It's all there. And this year, the blueprint is pretty clear. This draft is all about the trenches. Quarterbacks. Nothing special. No one's mortgaging their future to trade up, unless they're absolutely desperate. Wide receivers. Some interesting prospects, sure, but nothing like last year, when the first 14 picks were flooded with QBs and WRs. That's not happening this time. This year, it's a goldmine for offensive and defensive linemen, with solid depth at safety, running back, and tight end, positions the Dolphins just happen to need. But here's the catch. Chris Grier is the guy making the picks, and that's where the anxiety kicks in. Grier is one of those GMs who sticks to the best player available mantra, which sounds great in theory. But in reality, he lacks the foresight to address needs when he should. He watches talent get scooped up just a few picks later, guys that would have filled major holes for Miami. And he has this habit, this infuriating tendency, to favor prospects from big-name schools, as if smaller programs can't produce elite talent. In today's world of transfer portals and constant movement, that logic is outdated. Take last year's draft. The Dolphins, loaded at cornerback, took Cam Smith in the second round. Grier called him the best player available. But what's happened since? Smith barely touched the field. Meanwhile, just 8 picks later, the Bills grabbed Osiris Torrance, who is now a rock on Buffalo's offensive line. Miami, still scrambling to fix the O-line. That's the thing with Grier. He doesn't build the trenches like he should. If he had looked ahead, he'd have seen Robert Hunt was heading for free agency. Instead of having a replacement ready, Miami is now staring at Liam Eichenberg, who's been nothing more than serviceable. The Dolphins have spent years battling injuries, inconsistency, and flat-out bad decisions on the offensive line. And now, Grier suddenly realized they need to invest in the O-line. Gee, who could have seen that coming? The obsession with big school prospects has hurt this team before. Remember 2018? The Dolphins needed a tight end. They took Mike Gesicki out of Penn State. Great hands, yes, but an absolute liability as a blocker. The hope was he could be coached up. Spoiler, he couldn't. And now he's bouncing around the league, likely heading to his 4th team in just a few years. Meanwhile, 7 picks later, the Eagles grabbed Dallas Goedert from tiny South Dakota State. Goedert turned into a true dual-threat tight end, while Miami has spent years trying to find a real replacement. Fast forward to this year's Senior Bowl. A guy like Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, a versatile lineman who some scouts think could be an all-pro center, stood out. The question is, would Grier even consider him? Or will he look the other way because he didn't play at Alabama or Ohio State? This team also desperately needs a power back. Someone who can bulldoze for 3 yards in short yardage situations instead of telegraphing another pass play. That's been a glaring issue in Mike McDaniel's offense. The problem? Grier doesn't value running backs in the draft. At all. Go back to 2020. Jonathan Taylor was sitting right there at pick 30. Miami needed a running back. What did Grier do? He took Noah Igbinoghene, a corner who never panned out. Taylor, meanwhile, has been one of the best backs in the league. And even after that blunder, Grier had another shot at Taylor in the second round at pick 37. He passed again. And now, in a draft class with Ashton Janty, arguably the best power back available, does anyone honestly think Grier will pull the trigger if Janty falls to 13? History says no. And that's frustrating because pairing a bruising back with Devon Achane could take this offense to another level. To be fair, if there's one position Grier has done well with, it's safety. He's found talent in every round. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 1st round, 2019. Brandon Jones, 5th round, 2020. Javon Holland, 2nd round, 2021. But even here, there's an issue. He can't seem to keep them. Fitzpatrick clashed with the coaching staff and was traded. Jones has been solid but might not stick around. Holland, for all his talent, hasn't exactly dominated in a contract year, which means Grier won't be giving him a big payday. So while Grier knows how to find safeties, the long-term stability at the position is still a question mark. This draft gives Miami a golden opportunity, a chance to add toughness, to shift from being a finesse team to one that can hold its own against physical powerhouses like the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills. That's what's standing between the Dolphins and true contention. Buffalo, the team Miami is chasing in the AFC East, is simply built tougher. And that's why, year after year, they come out on top. Greer has the picks. He has the opportunity. But can he actually make the right moves? That's the question. And the answer? Well, history isn't on his side.